I am not here to debate with anyone. I have devoted all of my adult life to this subject. I only debate with my equals. All others I teach.
So I apologize for being late, but I'm just gonna wait for the announcement on this. And heard this last night. What's going on, Hammer Time? I'm sorry, I'm 3 hours late, almost. So anyway, let me put on the comments on, and let me stop sharing real quick because I forgot to. Let me do this real quick. Yeah. Last night, um, Venezuela was attacked, and it seemed though there was a special operation to arrest the sitting president of Venezuela. I'm going to say this, right? This has Marco Rubio's fingerprints all over it. I'm going to say it again. This has Marco Rubio's fingerprints all over it. Okay? And forgive me down I'm eating. This right here, because it was invaded and the president and the first lady has been taken, been captured, taken. They now, the president of Venezuela is in New York City on drug running charges. And I'm going to sit there and say, because of just what happened, violates international law. Now I know some fool, some cretin going to say, yeah, remember George H.W. Bush did this in 1989 against Noriega. Let me help you out, okay? Let me help you out. And I cannot stand ignorance. I really can't stand ignorance. What transpired in 1989? Oh, wait, hold on. We're gonna do this. I think it's on.
Here right now with breaking news. President Trump is set to speak at any moment now about today's large-scale U.S. strike against Venezuela.
What happened to the
It's
sound?
been about 9 hours since multiple explosions rattled Venezuela's capital.
Let me stop sharing. Oh, here it is.
Comes after months of pressure on Venezuela, a huge military presence that's been building in the Caribbean. The interception of 2 Venezuelan oil tankers, you'll remember, and strikes, multiple of them, that have killed dozens of people on boats accused of drug running. The president also saying today that in the final days before this strike, Maduro wanted to negotiate, but President Trump, was done negotiating. At any moment at Mar-a-Lago, we're expecting the president to walk out and to take the podium. We will carry those remarks live. For now, as we wait, I want to go to our senior national security correspondent, Courtney Cuby, to walk us through the attack and the eventual capture of Nicolas Maduro. Courtney, this attack happened under the darkness of night. We understand this was supposed to take place a few days before, and because of the weather, they decided to delay it day by day, and then they decided to strike early this morning. Walk our viewers through what happened.
Yeah, but notably, one point on the weather time that I've been struck by is the fact that there was actually a pretty full moon last night, which generally special operators like this don't want. They want as much darkness as possible. That does not include a full moon. But you're right. Officials telling us that, in fact, the president actually authorized this action days ago, more than a week ago, and that has now been essentially an hour-by-hour wait to see when the final go-ahead would happen. We now know, as you mentioned, that it started overnight last night, now about 9 hours ago, these first explosions. We don't have a whole lot of detail about exactly what the U.S. military component was here. The president, in first announcing this on Truth Social, called these U.S. strikes, not airstrikes. A couple of the assets that we know the U.S. has in the region include U.S. Navy ships that have the ability to fire Tomahawks or T-LAMs. Those are missiles that can fire and strike in a very precise location and give the military standoff capability. Essentially, that means that they can fire them from far enough back that those that are doing the firing, the ship itself, is not necessarily in danger should wherever they're trying to strike, try to counter-strike.
At Wayfair, we bring style.
Yeah. These stupid ads, right? Let me go ahead and say this as these ads are going on. You know what? Forget it.
Helicopters. It looks like U.S. Chinooks. Those are generally people movers. It wouldn't surprise me, Tom, if we learned that President Maduro and his wife were put on those, or some of the U.S. officials who went in for that ground operation went in on those Chinooks. We also know that the 160th Special Operations Unit, that is of course, you may have heard of them, the Night Stalkers. They were involved in the raid that took out Osama bin Laden in 2011. We know that they have sent additional assets to the region in recent weeks. Now, it could be that they had some of those up. They have things called little birds. They're small, fast, low-flying attack helicopters. It wouldn't surprise me if we heard that they were involved in this in some way. And then we are also seeing indications that there may have been U.S. Ospreys up. It wouldn't surprise me, again, if those were also used to carry Nicolas Maduro and his wife out of the country and potentially to bring U.S. troops in. But one of the biggest questions that we have, we're hoping we get some fidelity from President Trump and others at this news conference in only moments, is exactly what authorities were here. So in other words, who was the lead on this operation? If in fact the justification, the legal justification, was to go in and take out Nicolas Maduro because of the indictment against him for narco trafficking and other alleged offenses, then was the U.S. military used for that? And if so, under what authorities? Again, Tom, the other thing that is we're really hoping we get some answers on is the U.S. military in this took strikes on a sovereign nation's military. These were Venezuelan military locations that were targeted in some of the video that you see here. What were the authorities under which the U.S. took those strikes? Senator Mike Lee tweeting that Marco Rubio explained to him that the justification for that was to protect the U.S. officials who were going in on the ground, to make sure, essentially like a shaping operation, make sure that they made it as safe as possible for those U.S. officials to go in and take Maduro out. But what was the actual legal authority of that? Those are the kinds of questions that we hope to get to President Trump and officials this morning, Tom.
And then as we get those granular details and as
there is no legal justification. There is none legal justification what happened last night, because United States and Venezuela, right? Is something like this need to happen, right? It needs to go through here, right? This is the OAS, right? The Organizations of American States. Now, who are members of the Organization of American States? Almost every country in the Western Hemisphere, from Canada on down to Argentina, with the exception of Cuba. Usually, now let's talk about what happened in 1989 when Noriega was captured, because people are trying to compare it to Noriega, right? Noriega, when he was president of Panama, a lot of U.S. troops, because we still owned at that time owned the Panama Canal, because the Panama Canal was still at this time was part of the United States, right? It was United States territory. So when some of the soldiers was shot at and so forth, that was months before George H.W. Bush sent soldiers to capture Ortega. What happened in got I've got the other country name is in one of them islands, Grenada. There was months of violence, and the international and the Caribbean collective or organization asked the United States to step in. This has nobody asked the United States to step into this. There was no international organization that say, "Hey man, hey America, man, this thing's too big for us. Can you handle this for us?" This it didn't happen like this. So let me get right back to over here because we don't know if he's coming back on coming back or not. You go press live. Right, 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 and right. Where's the legal authority from Congress? Where's the legal authority from the Organization of American States? Where is the legal authority from? See, there are about five things he could assault, Queen. There's five things he could assault. If Venezuela would attack Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands, that's grounds for he don't need no authority, right? Because it's on self defense. Okay, that's one. Or if he was going to take out Maduro out, he got to seek justification. So the American organization, nation states, the United Nations, or the the International Caribbean Collective. I forgot what it's called. There is an International Caribbean, Gulf Caribbean nation group. All these little international organizations that would give the legal authority for somebody to come up in there and take this person out or stop this country. See, let me tell you what the main problem is. It's more about drugs. It's not about drugs. It's about oil. You know. But I'll wait till the commander in chief comes in. All right. Can anybody hear me? Yeah. Type one if you can hear me. And let me do this real quick. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, good. All right. So I wonder if y'all can hear the video that I've been playing. Okay, okay. Let me do this real quick. Let me do this real quick. Okay. Boom. Hold on. No. You know what? No, hold on. Let me go ahead and show you this, because even Marjorie Taylor Greene has a problem with this, right? Even Marjorie Taylor Greene just says something, and I better not hear no. I better hear shit. I better hear nothing from no Trump supporter. Okay. This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, right? Drug cartels are primarily and overwhelmingly responsible for killing Americans with deadly drugs. If the U.S. military action and regime change in Venezuela was really about saving American lives from deadly drugs, then why hasn't the Trump administration taken action against Mexican cartels? See? So where are these so-called Trump supporters? America first. Make America great again. MAGA. Where are y'all at? Okay? Where are you at? Now, let's see if y'all can hear this.
Because of its focus on economy, issues like healthcare, and that this runs counter to those critical promises that were made. So I think questions moving forward: will Congress for any future action, and what, if any, reaction will we get from the rest of the MAGA base? Tom.
Yeah, Kira, excuse me, Kristen, we're about to go to Kira Simmons, but Kristen, I had an opportunity to speak with Maduro years ago. I interviewed him inside Venezuela, and his belief was that President Trump never wanted him out. It was others around President Trump, people at the time like Senator Rubio, now the Secretary of State, who are the ones sort of whispering in President Trump's ear to get Maduro out.
I'll be right back, y'all. I'll be right back.
Senator Rubio is now Secretary of State Rubio, who's been in charge with multiple jobs, including intelligence as well. Talk to me about that relationship and the role that the Secretary of State played in all of this.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Secretary Rubio has long had his sights on Venezuela, the concerns, and look at what we have seen from this relationship between President Trump and Secretary Rubio. Remember, they were fierce political rivals back on the campaign trail in 2016. Now, of course, brought into the fold in the second Trump administration has become, quite frankly, Tom, one of his most trusted advisors. When you ask President Trump about the future of MAGA, who should take the baton, he talks about the vice president, but he also talks about Secretary Rubio. And I think it really underscores the strength of that relationship, Tom.
Okay, Kristen, stand by for us again. We are waiting for President Trump to walk out at any moment at Mar-a-Lago to take the podium. We're going to bring you those comments live as they happen. We also want to let you know that President Trump has released what we understand is video of Maduro in custody and also some video of the attack. We're going to have those momentarily. As I mentioned earlier, Kira Simmons is part of this coverage as well. Kira, I want to go to you. At the time that the United States has just taken out the leader of Venezuela, they've been trying to negotiate peace between Russia and Ukraine. This incredibly complicates both those negotiations, and also it leaves sort of, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a vacuum, but there are questions about who's in charge in Venezuela right now, and what role does the U.S. play in that?
Yeah, it's hard to find words, isn't it, Tom? And it's not surprising because we haven't seen an intervention, a U.S. intervention in Latin America like this since the 1980s. We do know, though, of course, Tom, from more recent history that regime change is unpredictable. Once you remove a leader in a country, what happens next, that is in question. And members of Maduro's regime are saying that there is stability and that this didn't work effectively. So those are, there are huge questions. And around the world, America's adversaries and allies will be watching and waiting to see what plays out now. There has been some criticism significantly from the French foreign minister saying this kind of intervention is effectively, he says, it is wrong. And I think that's striking in terms of the breaks in international diplomacy that we have seen in 2025. But if leaders around the world, Tom, didn't get the message in 2025, they're getting it now at the beginning of 2026. The Trump administration messaging quite clearly, you must bend to our will. And as you say,
well, see, to me,
from many, many countries, not least Russia, President Putin was very close to Maduro. They are allies. What does this mean for Russia? Is this a weakening of Russia? Is this effectively, a strike by the Trump administration against Russia as well as against Venezuela, against Russian interests? Certainly, in the U.S. national security strategy at the end of last year, what we were told is that the U.S. believes the Western Hemisphere is its area, that it wants to assert itself, and it certainly is with this strike overnight. And that assertion is directed at Russia. It's also directed at the Iranians who had a close relationship with the Maduro regime. And there are protests in Iran right now. What will the Iranian leadership be thinking? It's also directed at China, as Peter Alexander said earlier. We saw Chinese officials with Maduro just in the past few days. What message does this send? Because the Chinese were trying to say, this is our friend, don't usurp him. Well, that didn't work.
And, let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about that. What if China invades Taiwan under the same premise? Well, man, Taiwan is a criminal organization. Russia going to look at it as well. Well, guess what? You just validate our invasion of Ukraine. See, this is how stupid America is. This is how stupid America is. No, scratch that. This is how stupid, it's gang, right? It's gang. Now, I don't want to hear no Trump supporter coming over here, because I know Kelly Ray and Mo Reek Duck, we live white. I don't care. Y'all, people told y'all about them. You didn't listen. It's gang. There are other legal remedies to address Maduro or address Venezuela. See, America first means I don't give a shit. America first means America should not abide by international law. That's what America first means. America first means I don't, long as it is. hold on. Now I'm still waiting for it. Wait, let me put the sound back
history,
on.
What we do know, of course, is that you don't know what happens next.
Right.
And that's what we have to watch for.
Again, we're waiting the president at any moment. He was supposed to come out at 11 a.m., but again, this is a time when things are very fluid. We are going to bring you his comments as soon as he comes on. Kira, I do want to get back to you. Venezuela now a region in conflict, right? You have a country that has no leader. It's unclear who is in charge right now, if it's the vice president. You have an opposition leader who just won the Nobel Peace Prize, who is being celebrated across the world. Before that, you had another opposition leader, Maduro, that was acknowledged by the United States going back 4 years as the true leader of Venezuela. And then you have the Venezuelan military, right, who is really holding the cards right now. But besides that, you have what is known as a colectivo, essentially neighborhood gangs that Maduro has armed so they stay loyal to him. Essentially, in Venezuela, where there's no work, there's no money, there's no food, he has given these people food, he has given them weapons so they stay loyal to him. So you have the military and you have sort of these neighborhood ragtag gangs that there's been reporting now that they are actually protecting some military installations. To give you an idea of sort of the military prowess, if you will, of Venezuela. It's just not there that they have neighborhood watchmen, if you will, armed with machine guns protecting their military sites. But it all speaks to who's going to be in charge and who's going to take over. And it sounds like President Trump, at least from now, is not pushing for a regime change, even though he's taken out the leader of the country. He's saying whoever comes next, he hopes is not like Maduro, but he's assuming the vice president is in charge.
Yeah, and President Trump, and I'm sure we will hear it when we hear from President Trump in a moment. President Trump was asked earlier in an interview who will lead Venezuela, and he said, well, we're going to have to look at that right now. That kind of comment will prompt criticism from some that there needs to be a strategy here rather than simply just the tactic of removing Maduro. We have seen pictures, Tom, of civilians on the streets in Venezuela in support of Maduro. And you're right. If you are Venezuelan sitting at home right now, cowering perhaps a little bit, wondering what happens next, and you are against the Maduro regime, you are trying to calculate whether if you walk out onto the streets, you will become a victim. Will you be supported by the US? Will those forces that Maduro built up around him that you so eloquently described, will they target you? These kinds of things we know because we've seen this kind of thing before. And you have to be careful with comparisons. But if you take, for example, the US experience in Iraq, where, of course, Saddam Hussein was removed, so that was regime change. What the US then faced was a challenge about who should run the country, how the country should be run, and a civil war. Now, again, you do have to be careful with these comparisons, completely different part of the world, but the principles are familiar. And the question of whether you can change a country, make it more stable, maybe even make it democratic with kinetic power that doesn't involve boots on the ground is a looming question here. And of course, the US has tried boots on the ground before, and that in the past, in some parts of the world, hasn't worked.
Okay, hold on. Now I'll put this on mute, right? I'll put this on mute. So wait, hold on.
You can see those blacked out sunglasses over his eyes. He is wearing the earmuffs as well. He looks to be in a tracksuit, likely the same outfit they took him in custody, and we don't know that for sure, but it looks like he's been scuffed up there. You can see his hands there, given a bottle of water. This is the first image we've seen of the former leader of Venezuela, now in U.S. custody aboard what we believe is the USS Iwo Jima. Again, the president putting out this photo. He will stand trial, it appears, in New York. He was indicted in both the Southern District of Florida and in New York for charges stemming of drug trafficking, being a narco-terrorist, colluding with the cartels, allowing his country to be a meeting point, to be in a shipping point for they said millions of tons, I don't know if that exact figure is correct, of cocaine coming out of Venezuela to the United States and around the world. His wife also taken into custody. And if you're wondering why his wife was also taken into custody, she has held many roles in Venezuela in the political hierarchy, once as attorney general, once as the leader of parliament. Some have said she's as popular as her husband, Nicolas Maduro. So both of them have been taken into custody. Of course, Maduro rising to power after Hugo Chavez was dying of cancer. He was in his third term, 2 of his elections deemed completely illegal by the international community. Even his last election, more Venezuelans voting for the opposition party, and yet he stayed in power as a true dictator in Latin America, building ties with places like Cuba, building ties with Russia and Iran and China, maintaining those relationships throughout. And he simply ran out of time in President Trump's side. We will hear from the president in a matter of moments. Our Richard Engel, our chief foreign correspondent, has been reporting from Latin America, from Colombia, when these strikes started. Richard, you've been watching all this information. You saw that image just posted of Nicolas Maduro.
V-Dub said the people there wanted this.
Case, but reminiscent
okay.
of when they took out Saddam Hussein, a similar image.
Okay, but here's the thing, V-Dub. Yeah, the people there might wanted it, but there's international law, though. There is international law. You have to have, where's the Organization of American States, the United Nations, the Caribbean, what's it called? The Caribbean collective organization type thing, association. I forgot the thing called. There's all these organizations that could authorize the removal. All right, not just an American courtroom. But I'm still waiting for Trump to get on the stage and whatever.
A very powerful image, an image that will be seen in Venezuela by the people, but also by the leadership. I've been speaking to people today who've been involved in this negotiation process that has been both diplomatic and a negotiation process by force over the last several months to try to get Maduro
but V-Dub,
on his own.
They bombed the military bases.
And have been talking about all day Then there was this seizures, the oil tankers that grab operation to take Nicolas Maduro. Talking about leadership, right now there clearly is a power vacuum. I was speaking with a senior official who was also involved in this negotiation process, this pressure campaign, who said the most important person in Venezuela right now is the defense minister Padrino, that he effectively is managing the.
Let me say this. That's not going to happen in North Korea. Okay. North Korea got something that Venezuela does not have. Okay. They have a 1,000,000-man army, a military force that is a 1,000,000 men, is a 1,000,000-man military. Then also they got nukes, and there are treaties with China. All right. So I don't think going into saying North Korea, let's snatch Kim Jong-un. I'm sorry. That's unlikely. Unless though you want to have Tokyo and San Francisco and Tacoma and Seattle blow up. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
And sent to an American warship and ultimately, most likely, an American prison.
And Richard, it's fair to say from your reporting in the region, you were in Colombia, the president's actions even today have left allies, have left enemies guessing, even confused. I remember speaking to the Colombian president. He came out on social media and said one thing about President Trump, and then you spoke to a defense minister, and they said something completely different.
This President Trump wants the region to be afraid of him. And many White House officials talk about President Trump's unpredictability, and that fear is palpable.
Okay, Richard, I need to interrupt you. Richard, I'm going to interrupt you. President Trump is taking the podium. Let's listen in.
It's about time.
Appreciate you being here. Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. It's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea. We're just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position.
Right,
They were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far, with capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from places like Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their countryland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time. We're going to run essentially until such time as a proper transition can take place.
It's gang.
As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time.
Take over me, yes. Still some of my
Pumping
resources.
almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack.
Oh, what happened?
These are hands-on, non-desk employees, whether they're in the
Come on, man. You did the at the wrong time, too.
Second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people.
But you know what? You know what, Dovito? I'm I'm gonna check on my Robin Hood in a minute.
And will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans, hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States. Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over complexes.
Right.
The fingers of people
Right,
they call
Douglas.
police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Snuggles. Right.
7 months. We used to do, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives, they walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military, and I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%.
What about Fresno, California? What about
Louisiana called? Great person.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted us to help him.
But you ain't doing that in white cities, though.
Nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. It was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks.
Right.
To help. We also help, as you know, in Chicago. Then crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on.
What Omaha, Nebraska?
The police department made us.
What about Albuquerque, New Mexico? I don't see no troops there.
We would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren Aragua, and they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people. And now Maduro will never.
I didn't know.
Threaten an American.
I didn't know, Queen.
Anybody from Venezuela, there will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst. They say the worst.
Really?
Americans like
Amendment 25 needs to be in 2026.
And then Gary, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came. No,
American foreign policy did that.
And insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms.
American oil. American oil.
Billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property.
Where? Where?
And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into.
But it's their natural resources, though.
Our own hemisphere. That's what they did.
It's their natural resources. It belongs to them.
Now, deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries, and not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines, and the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot.
Yeah. Hold on. Key word. You supersede the Monroe Doctrine.
Monroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen.
Do you know what? Okay.
Concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to the growing
It was the British government. Hey, it was the British government that went ahead and enforced an American idea. That's what the Monroe Doctrine was about. Anyway, see, nobody, he ain't gonna tell you that though.
The future will
he ain't gonna tell you that.
This in my first term, we had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming.
Did he say we forgot about it? Yeah.
The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs are, they made our country rich. National security stronger than ever before.
Man, please, I'm broke. What the hell are you talking about? I'm broke.
Determined global power, and we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders, stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Cargo and all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone, and Venezuela people are free. They're free again.
Free?
Time for them, but they're free.
You're taking over their country. What the hell you talking about? They're free.
This morning, it's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's fantastic.
And you're correct.
Man, I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him. And I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Mr. President, can you explain, Mr. President, the American people deserve? And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision.
Yeah, America deserve it. Yeah, you're right about one thing. America deserve it.
Enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory.
Yeah, America. Yeah.
I'm simply humbled by such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America. And again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve. The most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicholas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had. He didn't. He effed around, and he found out. President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly
From
serious
us?
about reestablishing
Oil
American
stolen?
deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people.
Hold on. Oil
This
stolen from us.
is
I want
America
y'all.
first.
He slipped
This
up.
is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it.
It's the Defense Department.
Welcome to 2026. And under President Trump, America is back.
Listen,
I'd like to
it's
welcome
gang.
Our Chairman Raisin Kane, give a few more details about the operation.
Hold on. It's gang, y'all. It's gang. It doesn't matter. Constitution
Thank you.
doesn't matter.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
International
Thank
law
you,
doesn't matter. It's gang.
Mr. President. And good morning. Last night on dates and in support of a request, as the president said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd. And was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures.
Right, Pierre.
There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations. While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force with soldiers.
Another ad.
How long it takes
You know, I'm getting tired of these stupid ads like this. Because let me tell you something. I call these grifting ads. They're like the grift.
Years of experience in hunting terrorists, and we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise, it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose, to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of optical surprise. Well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. Early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel, so as the president said, that could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of year.
Facts.
And over
Facts.
the weeks through Christmas and New Year's,
but you
the
know what?
men and women of the United
You know what,
States
soul
military sat
brother?
ready,
I missed my
patiently
opportunity,
waiting for
but
the
you know
right
what? I'm gonna keep
triggers
that
to be
private.
met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings. But when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49. And there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway.
Yeah, he is.
Overhead, those forces were protected from aircraft, were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component
like the AF, the EF-18's probably done that. Yeah, the Growlers
and the ground force, and get them to the target and get them home.
But according
crossed the last point of the
no, they said it was a Navy ship that knocked out the radars and the radios.
Surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time. And the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Iwo Jima.
Hey man, hey listen, it's gang gang. That's what it is. It's gang gang.
Of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world. I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There's simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning,
they built a compound in the desert weeks ago and have been training ever since.
Readiness. Prepared to project power, defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points.
It has fingerprints all over it.
In the United States,
that's Marco Rubio's fingerprints all over it.
President of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very
exactly
offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is
exactly.
Many people around the world, they like to play
Marco Rubio is behind this. He's behind all of this though, right here.
Is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies. Is going to flood our country with gang members. Is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Where's the OAS? You got international organizations that could bring charges.
And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else. He's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think that the message here should be for the world. But the president doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. Generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll meet with anybody. But don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that, I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Mr. President.
You said that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela. So who's in power right now?
Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but it's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. but we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
Mr. President,
does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, you know, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack.
Right.
An attack that could have gone very, very bad.
Went from narco-terrorism to oil. How convenient. Right.
Last night, we could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Can you explain the exact mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's all being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
What's the group you mentioned that would run Venezuela?
Well, it's largely going to be, for a period of time, the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's
gang.
We're talking about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world. And it required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there. There are a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with vice president of Venezuela? Or how do you foresee the relationship
Well, I understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He's just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo, a couple weeks ago, you said he's got to watch his ass. And today he's about it happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is
Well,
about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved.
Sure. We call members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice, and because it endangers the mission.
If I can add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good.
Uh-oh.
They leaked, General.
Uh-oh.
I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming. You know, we had a lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
Congress will leak. You know what that means, right? It's gang, fuck the Constitution, fuck the co-equal branches of government. That's what that means.
Was considering if Maduro pushed back, resisted killing Maduro.
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. You know, the safe place is all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. You know, people were wondering, did we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something.
Right.
There was a lot of opposition.
Right.
There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of
it's
it.
It's gang, and that's what it is. Here we go, another ad.
Hey, guys.
It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it.
So where is Maduro going to be?
Go ahead, finish.
Where is Maduro going to be in the time being right now? Do you know his exact
Well,
whereabouts?
eventually, ultimately, in the near future, he's going to be brought to New York.
And where is he going to be held? Where is he going to be held in New York? Do you know?
That's going to be up to the officials that do these things.
Mr. President, the U.S. has something of a mixed track record of ousting dictators without necessarily a plan for what comes afterwards. Did that weigh on your decision?
Well, that's why we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me, we've had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot, and we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If you weren't successful with Midnight Hammer.
Oh, peace in the Middle East, huh? Yeah, okay.
So, with me, you've had a lot of victory. You've had only victories. You've had no losses. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you? How long do you expect the U.S. to run Venezuela? Soon do you want Venezuelan people to hold the election?
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. You know, we're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. It's actually very dangerous. It's blow-up territory.
Right.
Oil is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing.
Gang. No.
It can kill a lot of people. It has killed a lot of people.
Well, what gang means?
The infrastructure is old.
Gang means fuck the Constitution unless your black ass do something against the law. Yeah, yeah. That's basically what gang means.
So that we can take care of the country.
Are you saying that Rubio and
Mr. President, China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them when it comes to the oil and
China
drugs?
and Russia, Russia when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to get it.
Wow.
Selling oil, probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries, many of whom are using it now. But I would say many more will come.
Are you saying that, Mr. President, are you saying that? Oh.
Mr. President, thank you. What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course, the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of Venezuela?
That you're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time. It was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, great country. This election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened. Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly when you look at the border from 2020, what they did, what Joe Biden administration did.
Here we go.
Should never be forgotten. But if we had to go through another year of that, we would be exactly where Venezuela was. In terms, I used to say, if they win, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids, and that's what would have happened.
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military
They're
troops
going to
to
be a
provide?
team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro. And right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. She was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, you know, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero.
I'll be right back, y'all. I'll be right back.
Properly, we'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world going and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough, the people that got thrown out of Venezuela that are now in the United States, and frankly, some want to stay and some probably want to go back. Yeah.
So what's being done to protect Americans in the country? And were any of the detained Americans?
Well, right now they're very protected because nobody's going to mess with us. They're very protected. You better not touch one of them.
Are you concerned that bad elements of the Maduro regime will remain in place?
Well, we know who they are. We're on them, and they're acting much differently now than they would have acted 2 days ago.
And what do you
okay, wait, behind you, please.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it. Yes, sir, please, go ahead.
Is there a message for Cuba and Diaz-Canel?
Cuba's an interesting case. Cuba is, you know, not doing very well right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years. And I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation. And we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to say something about that, Marco, please.
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about, you know, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, you know, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile, but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, you know, they were, you know, all the guards that helped protect Maduro, this is well known, their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, they basically, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba. They tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit.
Cutting off the oil flow to Cuba from Venezuela?
Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned, it's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's an
We've just been listening to President Trump's news conference at Mar-a-Lago. That's going to conclude this portion of NBC News.
Right.
You can continue to watch our special coverage of the U.S. attack on Venezuela on our streaming network, NBC News Now, online at NBCnews.com, and a full wrap-up tonight on Nightly News. I'm Tom Yamas reporting today from Miami. Thank you for watching this special report.
Right. Yeah, okay. Right. Man, yeah, it's gang. And where's Ty City when you need him? Where's Ty City when you need him? Because I'm doing Ty City's work. Man, yo. So now, though, we just taking over countries now. Yeah. America first, y'all. We're here to make America great again. Right. Where's Ty City when you need him? Okay. This is gang. Man. Well, there's nothing for me to say anymore on this. When I saw this last night, I said, uh-oh. It says bombs. Caracas was being bombed. I say, what? And then I say, wait a minute, hold on. And then I was on DJ Witch Doctor's channel, and I'm watching the news as I'm listening to the live stream, and I was like, what the hell? I said, you know what? Let me take me a little bit of a nap. All right, let me just do a little. I'm a schedule live stream, and I'm gonna take me a little nap. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm gonna say this: that might gaslight. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna tell you what that's going to do. That's going to gaslight China to go after Taiwan. Because China going to be like, okay, well, I'll go after Taiwan then. If Trump can go after Venezuela, I can go after Taiwan. That's like Israel can say, no, and Israel already is already going to send those Palestinians to what's that country? Somaliland. Watch it, it's coming. Yeah, I see it. The only reason why Donald Trump cares about Taiwan is because of the computer chips. Because they make most of America's computer chips. At least Teddy Roosevelt. I know what you're going to do. At least Teddy Roosevelt had an excuse. Okay, let's go back to 1904. Yeah, we got to go here on this because history lesson, y'all. History lesson. 1904, 1903. I forgot what year. Which year it was. Well, Teddy Roosevelt was already president. So Teddy Roosevelt asked, wanted to build the canal, right? So he put a battleship in the Gulf of Mexico and sailed it on the shores of Venezuela of today and also Colombia. Well, Colombia was having a problem because they had a civil war. So he moved the battleship from Venezuela to Colombia. The rebels thought that was a sign for them to go ahead and break away from Colombia, and the country is now called Panama. So that gave Teddy Roosevelt, and when Panama fought the civil, declared independence from Colombia, that gave license for Teddy Roosevelt to build the Panama Canal for him and the European bankers. See, y'all might see, yeah. Oh, the history of yeah. That's what Teddy Roosevelt did in 1903, or was it 1904, something like that. All he did he moved his battleship from one location to the other. It gave the Panamanian rebels, it gaslit them to fight off the Colombians, and now Panama is now a country, just so that he can build the canal, so that him and the Europeans, and yes, the Japanese too, the Japanese and the Chinese can go to and fro. See, I know my history. All right, I know history. See, and Trump thinks that he's another Teddy Roosevelt. He thinks he's another Andrew Jackson. But he needs to understand this. those two men created more wars. Okay? You just don't use America power and just your mods do not approve messages like they should. Deacon, I see your messages, Deacon. What are you talking about? You're gonna send me super chat saying that. But anyway, but thank you for the donation though, the $2 donation though. But super chat. I don't what? I don't what, Deacon Dave? I don't what? Anyway, whatever. Yeah, it's gang. Fuck international law. Fuck the Constitution. Fuck the equal branches of government. Fuck all of that. All right. America's taking on the world. You either follow the power or fall under it. What do you Americans have to worry about? Not that America's biggest problem is their own oof. Okay. But I wonder where are these MAGA folks at? Where are these Make America Great Again folks? Where does America First people at? I better not hear no America First, and you know he kept us out of wars. Donald Trump gave us out of wars. I don't want to hear it. Right. Queen said, I don't know what you're talking about. Also, we don't have to approve your message. It's gang, and that's what it is. And man, yeah, but right. The only person that had a blocked message was Soul Brother, and I always prove his messages. Yeah. So what is Deacon talking about? America is first when it take over like gangsters. America itself is about gangsters. Facts. Okay. Facts. You know. But yeah. So anyway, I got nothing else to say now. This shit is crazy. This is getting out of hand. I'm gonna send this to I'm gonna put this on this other website. And y'all be easy. And I hope, you know what? They need Amendment 25. They need to roll out this Amendment 25 and get Trump up and out of here. Okay? Get his ass up and out of here. Hey, you also want to notice that JD Vance wasn't there. I want y'all to know. Hold on. Let's stop right there. Notice that JD Vance was not there. You got the entire national security team except for JD Vance. The president was there, the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, the Joint Chiefs, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Where is the vice president? He's a member of the National Security Council. How come he's not there? Am I the only one who ain't seeing this? Am I the only one? Again, am I the only one who ain't noticing that? How come J.D. Vance was not there? I'm gonna tell you why. Oh, oof. He's with Erica Kirk. Oof. Yeah, they're trying to make his all white baby. Uh-oh. But let's talk about this real quick. They're trying to make Marco Rubio the candidate in 28. They're trying to make Marco Rubio the candidate in 2028. That's what it looked like, because it looked like a campaign. It looked like this invasion is a campaign ad to show how Marco Rubio he faced down dictators. Yeah, watch that. Watch that 2028. It's gonna be a campaign ad. JD has to keep his white wife. Well, you might be right, but Marco's Cuban. Mexicans really don't like Cubans. All right, they're not feeling Cubans like that, right? So, you know what? I'm gonna think about that part. Let me think about that. That right there. I was going in this live stream, and I know that JD Vance was not there. I know that JD Vance wasn't there. So when I said, wait a minute, hold on. No. See, Queen, as somebody who hangs around with Hispanics, let me say, listen. Yeah, like you know how we have this FBA versus the tether, right? There is no beef like the Mexicans against the Colombians. That beef between the Mexicans and Colombians, no, I'm sorry, and Cubans, I'm sorry. That beef is classic. Sprite Zero, by the way. Sprite Zero is what I'm consuming. And also got some slices of brisket. Anyway, some barbecue, I should say. Barbecue brisket. If you go to South Texas, Pure, yeah, they be looking at these Cubans side eye. They side eye them Cubans though. They be like, yeah, yeah. What's going on, Hammer Time? But anyway, yeah. I'm gonna. That's an interesting thing that JD Vance was not there. Man, I was like, somebody's missing during all the in this press conference. You know, somebody was missing. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna jump off here, y'all. I'm gonna jump off here. You know, well. The thing is, pure. I had some too, right? I had some too, but they really don't look at Cubans like he's on vacation. What's going on, Candy Cane? Are you going live tonight, Candy Cane? You going live tonight? I'll be at work though, so I ain't gonna be available tonight. I ain't gonna be available because I'm going to work. You know, I gotta work. I gotta work. Yeah, yeah. So yeah. But anyway. So what is? Oh, let me ask Candy Cane. What is the topic? Is Candy Cane? Are you watching me from Twitch? Or are you watching me from YouTube? Because I know it's one person's watching me on Twitch. And I'm trying to figure out who's watching me on Twitch though. And there's nobody watching me on Rumble. There's nobody watching me on Rumble. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Oh, okay. You watch me on YouTube? Okay. Okay. All right then. Well, y'all. I'm in this live stream. Oh, what she said. I'm gonna make me some crab stuffed salmon Alfredo. Girl, send me some crab stuffed salmon Alfredo. I'm gonna ask you a question. What are the sides? Is that do you have some asparagus or some rice, some noodles or something like that on the side? Oh my God! Oof, 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 man, man. Oh my Lord. Oof. Anyway. Mm, 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 mm. But anyway, I'm gonna jump. Hold on. She said maybe some asparagus or spinach. Oh man, I'm hungry, and this is not helping. Shh. Ooh. What I say so, brother. Oh man, but I'm gonna get off of here, y'all. I'm gonna get off of here. Y'all be easy. I know I said this the last 18 minutes, but yeah, I'm gonna jump off here. Y'all be easy. This shit is crazy. And they act like they just solve a problem. They act like they solved the problem. You're making a problem worse. I don't get it. Y'all making a problem worse. But hey, it's gang. I guess. I mean, hey. You know what? Where them passport bros at? I wonder if there's any of these passport bros in Venezuela. Is there any passport bros in Colombia? I want to know what they think about this. If you're a passport bro in Venezuela, we no. Oof. Yeah, they're making it worse. You're justifying China to do what they really want to do to Taiwan. You're actually is validating on the moral high ground. You're validating Russia's takeover of Ukraine. You're really validating it. You know. So Yeah, 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 yeah. That's the thing right there. That's the thing, feel me? What are the passport bros' opinion? If there's any passport bros in Venezuela, we need to know. Are y'all safe? Are you okay over there? No, 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 no. Mm-mm. No. No, Russia is not looking at Ukraine. Ukraine is step one. He wants Moldova. Russia wants to annex Moldova. Moldova is right by Ukraine. It's on the western side of Ukraine. Ukraine is just a road to get there. You know, because Moldova has a Russian speaking population, and what he's trying to do is connect all of the pan-Slavic peoples like Serbia, Moldova. What's the Adriatic Sea? He wants the Adriatic Sea as a warm water port on the other side of Italy. That's what he wants. You know. So, what's going on, Eric? Eric Bird. So yeah, but I need to take my ass to bed, y'all. So, and anyway, somebody, hey, Sharon, why you mad, Sharon? Somebody tell Sharon why you mad? Okay. Yeah, that is true. Ukraine did destroy the Russian southern fleet, the Baltic fleet, I should say. Yeah, the Baltic fleet of Russia is done. Ukraine destroyed the Baltic fleet. The OSS is still alive and well. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The OSS is still alive. You know. What's that Matt Damon movie that made about 20 years ago? It was a Matt Damon movie with it was Matt Damon and Anna Jolie. Anna Jolie and Matt Damon starred that movie. It was about the OSS. It was made in it took place. Excuse me. It took place in the 40s and 50s. No. Not Born Identity. This actually took place in the 1940s, or was it 50s? I'm trying to remember what the name was. It was before the CIA was created. The OSS. Anyway, I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired. I'm kind of sleepy right now. And there's family coming over. So since family's coming over, I'm gonna jump off here and yeah. The OSS was 1940s. Yeah, because they did like a lot of heinous shit though. The OSS. They did like heinous shit during the 40s. Man, there was, because it was World War II and everything. They did like heinous things though. Yeah, we will. We will. So brother. Yeah, we will. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I know who so is. I know who so brother is. Yeah. I know he's Mitty. Yeah. I fully know though that he is Mitty. Yeah. And I'm gonna say something too. So I actually, Mitty, I miss your videos, man. I miss you making videos. Damn, y'all just done snitching him out like that. Oh, well, we're glad you here, fam. We missed some in 25. Yeah. Yeah, he do be tripping. Yeah, but anyway, y'all. Let me get off of here. See you next time. I'm out. Peace.
I am not here to debate with anyone. I have devoted all of my adult life to this subject. I only debate with my equals. All others I teach.